Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this podcast, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland and Disneyland history with mementos, snapshots, and postcards sent from Disneyland from 1955 to the present. The postcards from this episode will be viewable on Instagram at Sent from Disneyland or on my website, sentfromdisneyland.com. Today I'm starting off by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join in and receive mail from my desk or for my trips to Disneyland. I'm currently working on some new patron benefits. Patrons can sign up for as little as $1 per month. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the e-ticket patrons Tania, Eric Daniels, Monica Seitz Vega, Joe Gamble, Scott Booker, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, Mary Henderson, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Ruby McDowell, Grace Coate, Scott Cagle, and Ben and Noel Bruning. B-ticket patron The Disney Rewind Podcast, and to the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Maggie and Henry Byers, Angelica Nablock, and the All Aboard Podcast. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. Our first postcard has Mickey and Donald driving a red Autopia car. You can see some other guests on Autopia cars driving next to them, and even some on an overpass. On the back it reads, Tomorrowland Autopia. Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, along with youngsters of all ages, drive real gasoline-powered Mark V automobiles on Tomorrowland's popular Super Autopia freeways. It's postmarked July 9th, 1970, with a San Diego cancel and a 5-cent blue Washington postage stamp, Scott number 1283. I assume they visited the park on Wednesday, July 8th, when park hours were from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. The weather was a high of 80 and a low of 67. It's addressed to a Mr. and Mrs. Joe Eisenberg from Dubois, Pennsylvania. It reads, Hi Ray and Joe, I'm having a wonderful time out here. I went on these gas-powered cars and went on a gas-powered boat. I went on the submarine and saw buried treasure. I went on Matterhorn Mountain, a ride up and down the mountain. Well, I have to go now. Randy. Before we head into the Tomorrowland of the 1970s, it's funny to note that the gas-powered cars of the Autopia on the front of this postcard are not the Mark V as mentioned on the back of the postcard. Mickey and Donald are actually driving the Mark VI. But Randy, our postcard sender, would have likely driven the newest Mark VII Autopia car, which debuted in 1968 and ran through the 70s. One of the first things that changed in the 1970s Tomorrowland is the name of the Mad Hatter shop to the Mad Hatter. I assume to suggest styles were more modern, or to distinguish it from the Mad Hatter of Main Street and the Mad Hatter of Fantasyland. One of the larger moves in 1972 was the transition of the Matterhorn from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland. This was only evident on park maps. The mountain did not physically move. Mentioning that Disneyland moved the Matterhorn in the 1970s is one of my favorite park trivia facts. The next notable change in Tomorrowland came a year later, 1973, when the Adventures Through Inner Space attraction changed from a free show to a C-ticket attraction. Also, in 1973, the Carousel of Progress moved to Florida, where it still is today. Only the audio animatronics moved. The show building and ride mechanism changed to accommodate a new show using the same rotating audience concept. In 1974, America Sings opened in the round Tomorrowland show building. This was part of a larger celebration of the United States' bicentennial celebration at the park. It was awesome to use some of my vintage Enfield Post stamps on my last trip to Disneyland. It takes a little extra effort to add up the postage and to glue on the stamps on the postcard, but I know that it's appreciated on the other end when someone gets a postcard with a matching or specially selected postage stamp. You can head over to EnfieldPost.com and explore all the different vintage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's EnfieldPost on Instagram and EnfieldPost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has the entrance to Tomorrowland. In the far back, you can see the Carousel of Progress, the rocket jets. Closer to the entrance, you can see the Adventures Through Inner Space and America the Beautiful show buildings, along with the People Mover and the built-in planter benches along both sides of the entrance. On the back it reads, Tomorrowland Entrance. A breathtaking look into the future lies ahead for guests about to visit Disneyland's Tomorrowland. The mysterious realms of uncharted scientific frontiers spring to life along with new and radical forms of transportation for coming generations. Here's a preview of tomorrow's world today. It's postmarked October 15, 1972, with a U.S. Postal Service cancel and a 6-cent Eisenhower postage stamp, Scott number 1393. I assume they visit the park on Saturday, October 14th, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. The weather was a high of 75 and a low of 48. It's addressed to a Mr. and Mrs. Charles Manning and family of Ross, California. It reads, "Dear ones all, pray you had a wonderful trip and time. We both are fine, having a grand reunion, weather good. Thanks to Gordon Collins for all. All here send their love to you all. God bless you all eternally. Adios, Ma and Dad." By 1975, going on a flight to the moon was less futuristic. After 6 successful flights to the moon, Disneyland updated their attraction from the Flight to the Moon experience to an attraction called Mission to Mars, the next logical space location. 9 years after Tomorrowland's 1968 refurbishment, it received another facelift. In 1977, Tomorrowland saw the addition of Space Mountain, an indoor roller coaster type attraction in the dark. This was 2 years after Walt Disney World opened their version of Space Mountain. This new e-ticket attraction prompted a name change of the Tomorrowland stage, which was located right in front of the mountain, to the Space Mountain stage. Tomorrowland also received an arcade area known as the Starcade. Other changes included the space bar being replaced and relocated to the lunching pad just below the People Mover. Then a third food option opened near the Space Mountain entrance, known as the Space Place, which offered fish burgers and ham and cheese sandwiches. After the opening of Space Mountain, Disneyland Imagineers focused on updating other parts of the park. Tomorrowland did not have any major changes over the remaining years of the 1970s. This incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is an online craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. I've been traveling, but still able to catch some of Monday's ATD, which is usually hosted by paper artist Russ Romano. It's great to stop in for an hour to watch someone craft or design something unique. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has Oswald the Lucky Rabbit in front of the Oswald Tire Shop on Buena Vista Street in Disney California Adventure. It's postmarked May 16, 2022, with a Santa Ana cancel and a Staghorn Coral Forever postcard postage stamp, Scott number 5366. It reads, 5/14/22. Howdy from DCA. Just had dinner at Paradise Garden Grill. Yum. Thought we'd drop you a note to say hi. Take care, Mike. Hi, Clocky. Hi, Misty. We are headed to the neon lighting at Carsland now. My favorite. Dropping this by the bakery on the way. Monica. Thank you so much for the postcard. I recently took a trip to Disneyland and dropped a postcard in all the mailboxes in DCA. I think my favorite one is the one on the wharf, near the bakery, as I can easily sit at a table next to it and write a postcard and put it in the mail right away. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would be awesome to share your favorite episode. There are over 100 episodes to choose from. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment at whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/SentFromDisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sent From Disneyland, or on Twitter at Sent From Disney. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent From Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to its host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast.